Hello and welcome to Sunday's Best 3 Minutes, where we take one big idea from Sunday's message and deliver it to you in a portable package. So maybe you managed to produce freakishly neat children. We, however, did not. So occasionally we'll do a big house cleanup, pickup, and afterwards I'll find a pile of clothes or a Lego or a pickaxe just lying out in the living room, and I'll pick the thing up and I'll begin my rant, walking around the house looking for the child, and occasionally the child will stop me mid-rant and say, "Dad, that thing was supposed to be out. You just need to chill out." When we act on misinformation, we make mistakes, and nowhere is that more true than our relationship with God. So the early Jesus people began to develop what they called creeds. The creeds are just telling the biblical story in short form. It's like the sports center of the biblical story kind of gathered up in little bite-sized bits. So we're going to spend the next few weeks looking at the oldest Christian creed called the Apostles' Creed. And the Apostles' Creed starts like this: I believe in God, the Father Almighty, maker of heaven and earth. Father, of course, was Jesus' favorite way to describe God. He invites us to pray to God as Father. And later in the New Testament, when it describes what happens when we become Christians, it says this, that God sent the Spirit of His Son into our hearts, who calls out, Abba, Father. Some of us come to God looking for inner peace or happiness, but when the Spirit of God falls on us, it doesn't shout, inner peace. Others of us get upset at God because the world is such a mess, but when the Spirit of God falls on us, it doesn't shout world peace. Others of us get upset at the politicians or the laws, or we're stressed out by the people around us or situations around us. And when the Spirit of God falls on us, it doesn't shout, fix this mess. Those things matter. But as C.S. Lewis once said, if we put first things first, we get second things thrown in. If we put second things first, we lose both first and second things. And so we get this name from Jesus, that the Spirit of God cries out in us, Abba, Father. Father names a relationship. When we come to Christ, we have a new way of connecting and relating to God that's intimate and personal. In the Christian understanding of God, God is in some vague category. Mother-in-law is a vague category until you get a mother-in-law. Then you have a real person to deal with, for better or for worse. God isn't satisfied to just be a category that you can just fill in with whatever you want. That's called an imaginary friend, not a real being. God has a name. And with that name comes an invitation to a real-time, real relationship through Christ. And that name is Father. Now, there's all kinds of great objections to this name. Like, isn't that just sort of a patriarchal name? Isn't this just sort of oppressive? Does that mean God's a man? Why can't we call God whatever we want? Or what if I had bad dad or father experiences in my life? Great questions, and we'll deal with those in the full-length version over on our church website. So check that out in the next couple of days. But in the meantime, the good news is that Jesus has given us the real name of God that invites us into a real relationship. So this week, I want you to try this little prayer exercise for me. Even if you're not kind of a praying person, just give this a shot. Why don't you pray to God as Father once a day, at least once a day for the next 7 days. Just pray to God as Father and ask Him to show you how this name is an invitation into a real gift of intimacy. And if that name has baggage for you or pain or hang-ups associated with it, I want to ask Him, invite Him to sort of set this straight, to help you understand why this is good and how this is good. None of us had perfect earthly fathers, but we can all have a perfect heavenly one. So give this prayer a shot this week and see what God might do. Thanks so much for joining us this week on Sunday's Best 3 Minutes.